what the big guys actually move on, what they're doing, what actions they're taking, because some of this stuff could be obvious to you guys, but they actually take action using this data. What's going on, guys? So today we're going to talk about how the big sellers on Amazon prevent their accounts from being suspended and getting their products taken down. You might have heard horror stories from other people selling on Amazon. So what are the big sellers doing, right? They have millions of dollars on the line. They have hundreds of products to look after. So what data do they look at? What actions do they take that we can take away from this to prevent it from happening to us as well? Well, the truth is most of these big sellers have full teams or even services they work with to help them out with all these issues. And again, this makes sense, right? They have millions on the line and hundreds of products possibly that can be taken down one by one. Now I'll give you examples of some of these services out there and what type of work they do at the end of this video. But more importantly, I'm going to show you what metrics they actually use, how to check this yourself on Seller Central, what they mean, and what to exactly look for to prevent your own suspensions and product takedowns. So hop into my screen here right away. We can see we're on a Seller Central account. So I'm going to tell you exactly what to look for, where we can find these metrics, everything like that. So just follow along here. And we're going to look at a lot of things here today, but these are all very concerning if you're a seller on Amazon, right? How to prevent these things, what to look at, things you might have not heard about before, okay? So if we go over to our dashboard here and click down and we go to performance, this is where you can get a lot of these metrics right away, okay? So going into account health here, I'm going to explain everything for you. If there's any questions, things like that, just hang with me here, hang tight, and we'll go through these one by one. So on this page, we can see a lot of different things, right? We see customer service performance, product policy compliance, shipping formats, reports, eligibilities, voice of customer, which we'll all get into here. But most of the stuff can be found on the dashboard, right? So we see customer service performance is right here, product policy compliance right here, shipping performance, everything like that. So let's go through this one by one here. So probably the most important thing here, guys, is ODR, right? If you've heard this term before, it means order defect rate, okay? So we see fulfilled by Amazon. So this is going to tell you if you're shipping these out or if Amazon's doing it for you. So FBA versus FBM here. We see 0% here out of 247 orders over the last 60 days. This is what you want to see. Our target is under 1%. Anything over 1% could put you at risk for deactivating that product or an account suspension. So we need to figure out, are customers coming back and saying that this product's defective? Now, there's certain product categories that this happens a lot more in, such as electronics, such as things that are complicated, more expensive products, right? Where people are just trying to get refunds. There is some truth to that as far as people just being scammy and saying it's defective to get their money back. Now, we want to keep it under 1%. Now, anything over that doesn't mean we're necessarily going to get suspended, but we should be actively working on this, checking this weekly, okay? That's just as important as far as your, checking your sales every day or checking your PPC reports every week. So make sure everything we're going through, you start to register like, I need to be checking this stuff here, okay? So customer service performance, negative feedback, we've had 0, A to Z guaranteed claims. So making sure I go by these one by one so you know what I'm talking about. Negative feedback is essentially if we had order defect rates, so say we had 3 or 4 orders, this is exactly what they're saying. So we can click into this and see what they're saying. This is important because I'll go over this a little bit more here later in this video, but we need to be addressing these things, right? Whether it's this product didn't work or maybe the batteries are dead and it never charges or something like that, right? We need to make sure we're checking this to figure out what's going on. Do I need to make changes in the manufacturer level? Do I need to make changes on my listing to make sure that everything's congruent there? Maybe there's just some miscommunication, things like that, okay? And this is what the big brands do. And these services will go through this and address this for you, give you reports to figure out like, hey, like this is the issue we're having when you go talk to the manufacturer, or these are the listing things that need to change to make sure that's congruent. There's other things these services do, which we'll get through in due time here. Next, A to Z guarantee claims. Now, if you have FBM, things like that, this can be more likely, but essentially what this is Amazon guarantees that no matter what happens, that they're going to get their money back and they make a claim, and Amazon's going to essentially refund them. You want less of these. Again, if you have more, a higher percentage of these, you're going to get flagged and more potential risk of your products be taken down. Chargeback claims, same thing here. So they're just going to a credit card company to report a claim that this product was defective, whatever it may be, right? So these all go back into your order defect rate. So customer service performance is more by product to prevent certain products from being taken down, okay? Now, policy compliance is more about your account as a whole. So these things we're looking at here are more to prevent your whole account from being taken down, which could be a more serious issue. So the first thing we see here is account health rating. Now there's a lot that goes into this, but essentially a perfect score is 1,000. Anything in the green is good and healthy here. So just monitor that. If you want to learn more about that, you can just click this link here and go deeper into figure out what goes into that as well. But essentially, it's just a combination of all these things right here that we're talking about. So 1 is suspected intellectual property violations. So if you have a 1 here, like that's a big concern. Any of these 1s or 2s, 3s, anything that pops up here, you need to be addressing that, whether you're making a case to figure out what the heck's going on, making the adjustments necessary, proactive things to make sure these don't happen again. So just going through these one by one so you know what they are. So suspected intellectual property violations. So essentially you're infringing on someone else's trademark or brand name, things like that. Maybe you put it in your listing, maybe you put it in your back end, maybe someone made a complaint about you, things like that, right? And so we can go back and figure out who the heck's making these complaints, what's it for, so we can address those things, take it out of our listing, whatever it may be, okay? Received intellectual property complaints, same thing here. So suspected versus received. Product authenticity, customer complaints. So essentially these are, is your product real? Is it fake, right? If you're selling things that are maybe generic or potentially just counterfeits of things, you're gonna get these complaints right here, okay? And if you're getting these complaints and you're real, well, these should be easier to address because you can prove really quickly that these are real. Maybe there's someone just being maybe a jerk and making these complaints that aren't true, right? But so we need to see these to see if there's anything malicious going on as well. Product condition customer complaints. So maybe you said the product's new, but it was used, things like that. Hopefully you don't have an issue with this in private label. Food product safety issues, right? If you're selling food products. Listing policy violations. So maybe you're putting certain things in your listing that are claims, not true, false advertising, things like that, right? There's certain verbiage that Amazon doesn't want you to use in your listing, which we can figure out really quickly by just clicking into this and figuring out what the heck's going on. Why would I get a complaint like this? So these are all clues of potentially things that you're not seeing on your Amazon product listing that you can learn about and fix, then prevent in the future, right? Because again, if we keep tallying these things up, our account will go down. Next, we have restricted product policy violations. So maybe you're selling products that aren't allowed on Amazon, such as magnetic products, maybe products that are in the adult category, things like that, right? Which they have a whole big list of what products are not allowed on Amazon or need special permission. Customer product review policy violations. So maybe that's you reaching out to a customer, soliciting a review that you shouldn't have, or doing, gray area, black hat, things like that as well. Or maybe reaching out, trying to sway someone in your side to get a 5-star review, things like that, right? So keep an eye on that. This is probably a very common thing if you're trying to push the envelope. So be concerned about that. And if you get too many flags here, maybe it's a sign that you should stop whatever you're doing. Other policy violations, so just kind of fits other categories. And then you have warnings right here. So sometimes they'll just give you a warning and not actually get a full violation here. So make sure you guys are staying in the green here and addressing anything that comes up for that. Next is shipping performance here. So this is more for FBM. So if you're sending your own products and you're late a ton, maybe people get canceled, maybe you don't have valid tracking codes, things like that, you're gonna keep getting flagged, and eventually Amazon will now allow you to do FBM here. So that's a little shorter one, only applying to FBM, not so much FBA. Cool thing here is you ever have questions, you can always call their support team here. They're not perfect by any means, but at least they give you an option to reach out and address anything there. So anything you want to go deeper on, you could go through up here as well. And we're going to talk about voice of the customer, things like that here in a second. But essentially, next I want to talk about what the big guys actually move on, what they're doing, what actions they're taking, because some of this stuff could be obvious to you guys, but they actually take action using this data. Now, the biggest thing is they're being proactive or addressing any complaints right away. Now, what data are they looking at to make sure they'd have everything in one spot essentially to fix these issues? So I want to show you the areas they're looking at to get this data to make sure they're moving on everything, right? So the first one, of course, we already talked about is negative feedback. So what are the issues going on to cause negative feedback in ODR, so order defect rate? So if you're getting negative feedback here, this is the first place to look because these are the most serious complaints, okay? Next, if we go back up here, we go back to performance, we can see all sorts of stuff here. So customer experience metrics, if we click into that, we can go down and see customer reviews, especially if you're brand registered. It allows you to look at a lot more data here, but essentially manage reviews to look at these, respond to customers. These services, that's what they're doing. They're responding to customers, make sure their voice is heard, make sure they know other customers see that you're reaching out if there's anything wrong. So looking at customer reviews is a great source of that data to fix things in your listing, address certain customers, and be proactive to reach out to these people to make sure that they're being taken care of. Next, if we go back up here, let's go back to performance, and then we have feedback. Okay, so feedback is seller feedback. So seller feedback is another type of review system to essentially let customers tell you, hey, this product or this seller is bad or good, right? This is bigger in wholesale and retail arbitrage, things like that. But essentially you want to be looking back here because you could have potential red flags. Now we see positive, neutral, negative, everything like that. So we have one negative here. We have one neutral and positive 98%. Now you want to be around 4.9, 4.8 stars like that. So big sellers are all looking for things back here as another data point of what's going on. So what we're looking at here, we can see these ones are unblurred here for us as the other ones just kind of show my product off, things like that. We can see what customers are saying. So very nice, just as described, would recommend, great. Now these are some generic ones for sure, but we see 5-star ratings. This one we see a 3. So it's crossed out here and I'll tell you what happened here, but I never received this package and I seriously doubt this would have fit inside my mailbox as the delivery notification says. Okay, so Amazon actually will cancel some of these out if they claim it's their fault. So it's a good way to get back some of these negative ones that aren't your fault, which there's going to be things that come through that just simply it was on Amazon, right? Not you. So you can actually go over here. This one, not so much because it's already chosen, but if we go to this one here, we can request removal. So that's what these big guys are doing. They're requesting removals, keeping their head down to this to make sure they're on top of it. And then you can actually post a public reply as well. So if there's anything bad here, just like reviews, you can go back here, publicly respond. So other people who are digging deeper into you see like, oh, at least they're active. They're trying to fix these issues and they're addressing the customer complaints, everything like that. So you need to be back here removing anything that needs to be removed, or at least requesting it, and as well as posting a public reply if these things are negative. Now, if we go back to performance here, going to the next one, we see A to Z guarantee claims. Now, again, this is more for FBM. If you have any of these issues that pop up in account health, you can go here for more details. But for most people, they're FBA, so I'm not going to worry about this. Same thing with chargeback claims. But the next one being important, performance notifications. So if we click through here, we can see back here is that Amazon's actually give us notifications if there are any issues with our products or our seller account in general that we need to address to make sure that we're not going to be taken down. So we see right here, this last one, we got action required. Your listing of has been suppressed due to a high rate of negative customer experiences. Okay, so you need to go back here and address these things to make sure nothing kind of builds up on you or you wait too long and things get taken down because you don't properly address them. Next, we have notification of restricted product removal. So they're saying a product is restricted and we need to remove that product to make sure our account stays in good health. Now you should get emails for anything that comes across here, but just double check back here to make sure there's nothing you missed. They send you so many emails so that there could be a chance you missed something, and we need to be back here like a hawk to prevent anything from building up on us or us missing it and eventually it becoming this huge thing that kind of pops our account. Going back into performance here, next we see voice of customer. Now we can get here by account health as well. If we go right up here to voice of customer, if I click into this, we see that, unfortunately guys, they must be doing something and it's a broken link kind of thing right now because this is not what it actually looks like. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, you can go into it. You can actually see what's going on here. I've tried like 3 or 4 accounts today and it's all like this. So I'm not sure what they're updating here and I apologize, but I wasn't gonna not make this video today. So I just had to power through it. But essentially what we can see here, if we scroll down, is that anything that's in violation, so I have one product that's in the red here. So essentially it's at risk of deactivation. But I have one product that's in the semi-green here and bright green here or deep green here. But we can see as this product keeps moving down to yellow, orange, it's more likely to get taken down. So this one product in red actually did get taken down. It's exactly what you saw in the performance notifications. So that product got taken down and we had to fix a bunch of issues with it. And it's something we should have been more proactive about. So that's what these big sellers are doing too. They're going back here and anything that's kind of getting towards red, they're fixing these issues, listening to the customer and trying to figure these out before these products get taken down. Now these services they actually use are doing this for them, right? They're replying to customers for them. They're sending buyer seller messages to address any of these concerns proactively. They're changing things in the listing, just like I mentioned before. So scrolling down here, and then if we go all the way to the right, you can actually see what's going on with your products. Essentially, red here, go into summary. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know what the heck's going on here. So we see title, performance, quality, not adequate. But of course, when this is working well, you're going to see more details and be able to go in here. But this is something you should be checking weekly as well to make sure none of your products are at risk. So after explaining all that, obviously make sure you guys are being proactive, changing your listing if need be, changing things with your manufacturer, looking at this data points, everything like that. As promised, I'm going to talk about a service that helps other big sellers do this. Now, I am affiliated with Appeal Wizards here just to be fully transparent. I use them to get my accounts back and active, essentially, help me with cases with Amazon that are frustrating whether it's linked account cases, whatever it may be, right? Suspensions. They've helped me out so many times, and it goes so much smoother and faster with their expertise in this area. Now, they do have a service that monitors your account and does everything I talked about, right? Essentially, they'll take care of any product suspensions, any account suspensions for you, as well as read this data for you, reply to customers, make sure they suggest things like A+ contact fixes that can address these right away, respond to reviews, and as well as seller feedback, maybe change up photos so everything is aligned there. So they do this. They have different tiers, different packages for this. So you have to get in touch with them if you are interested in their services for that. But again, I just wanted to show you exactly what they're looking at, what they're doing, so you can potentially do it on your own. Now, if you're a bigger account or you just don't want to do this in general, they do have smaller tier packages for people who are smaller sellers all the way to bigger sellers as well. So if you want to be proactive, have your own little team to deal with this for you, just maybe because you don't have the time, the expertise, anything like that, they're the first persons I would go to for this service, as well as I'll include a link to reach out here to eventually get the best deal possible. Again, do what's best for you here, guys. I want to give you as much information as possible. And of course, you know what's best for you. Now, I don't work with many people, and I'm very picky with who I work with. Again, I wouldn't be considering Appeal Wizards here if I haven't used them tens of times. My clients use them as well. So I know it's a good service potentially that can help you out. And this link will be down in the description just in case you want to check it out, get a quote for these services, everything like that. So hopefully, guys, that was helpful to give you a little bit of insight of what people are looking at to prevent these issues from happening. Of course, if you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe, leave me a comment down below, as well as give this video a like. Otherwise, guys, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.